She wrote this song called I Release and I Let Go. I let the spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. That's that's the answer to your question.
Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. Who are we speaking with?
This is ConRAD Neblett.
So many questions. Where to begin? Together in spirit. What is together in spirit? What was together in spirit? What will be together in spirit?
I
Please
love
break
it.
it down. Break it down
I
for us,
love
please.
it. I love it. So Together in Spirit is I created this organization out of a need that I saw in New York City. That at the time when I created it, um, was in the name Together in Spirit. I created in 2000. I started it in 1996. 1996, I was calling it like ConRAD Productions. And from 96 to 2000, it was after hours. So it would start at 4 a.m. in the morning. It would go to, I'm sorry, yeah, 4 a.m. in the morning to 12 noon. And I convinced this club owner, because I've always uh, had a thought that look outside of the box, and when trying to do events, look outside of the box so it could be more attractive to the club owners, because and then they want to pay. You have to pay a big bar guarantee if it's during their prime time. So yeah, so it started in 96 to 2000 for the after hours, and then I started it and called it Together in Spirit in 2000. And the reason why I called it Together in Spirit is because I'm a performer, I'm a singer and an actor, and uh, produce dance parties and love, to dance. So I was fusing the music with the performance with the dance party. And that first party was, I said, 2000, and the first party in 96 was Camacho. Camacho was a DJ, and Les Alexander, James Vincent from Chicago, because he was living in New York at that time, and they were like regulars during that after hour time. And then when I started in 2000, Will Milton became my resident DJ. And we did it every Sunday, come rain, come shine, come September 11th, like come blizzards. We did it every Sunday. And it was a daytime party starting at like around 5 to like midnight. And it became like a ritual for people. And it just was really an exciting time. So at Demerara's was the name of the club. It was from 96 to 2005. So that's about 9 years or something like that. So, and the focus of Together in Spirit purposely was to promote the classic music from the 70s and 80s and a fusion of the new house music. And that music back then now is classic, classic house now. So yeah, so that's how Together in Spirit got created.
So many questions. Together in Spirit was a mecca for house dancers.
Mhm.
Um, how did you make that happen?
Well, because I've been hanging out in the club scene for years, even before it was called house, the music we call house, it was club music. So I've been hanging out since the 70s. And I, like I said, I saw a need. People were looking for a club to release and let go. So I created from my past, going to various underground clubs was a membership. So I created and took from I learned from the past is to create a membership. And I would interview everyone. I mean, I would do one-on-one interview with everyone. I would had a form. I would give them a membership card, and it just was built. It just was building, and people were telling other people, say, "Oh, yo, ConRAD is doing this thing. It's Together in Spirit. It has that loft feel. It has that garage feel. It has that shelter feel. It has that underground feel." And that's how it started growing. And the memberships, people really cherish that aspect of the club experience, because they get to see that they are a part of the movement. It's not just me, the producer or the owner of the club, that the party goer matters just as much. So that's the membership is what really had it to really fly. And the people, word of mouth.
Talk to me about the party. What was the biggest challenge putting on a weekly party? Or if there are more than one challenges, what was the biggest?
Oh, there's many, but I'll share with you some that come to mind. So the first thing that comes to mind is the bar. That and it's not just in Demerara's where I was at, but every club that I have been to has always been the bar. That it never was, at least in my perception, it felt like it never was enough of people buying enough liquor for them to be satisfied with the party. So I always felt like I had this extra pressure with the bar guarantee, if you met it, if you didn't, if it was low, it was just, I felt as though I was starting to become a liquor pimp. And I know I wasn't, but that's kind of had feelings like that. And it was kind of a challenge because, one, I didn't want people to get sloppy drunk. I'm not, promoting that. Having a cocktail or drink, great, because I drink myself. I'm not a heavy drinker. And the crowd the house crowd is not, they're not heavy drinkers. And it's like, if you want to dance and the way we dance and with the music, and you have to have a certain amount of your facilities, is it, you have to be somewhat grounded as you're moving and stuff like that. As if you're so drunk, you'll be bumping into people and it'd be fine, it would just be a mess. And historically, the house crowd, which originated from the club music, from the underground scene, they never had liquor license, those clubs. So the culture, the underground culture, was no liquor. Now, people did a lot of other stuff. Right. I won't say so. But it was never liquor. And it was because of a political thing in New York. Because the club scene started in the Black, Latino, gay community, we couldn't be in clubs, regular clubs, and it was hard to find places to rent. So thank God to people like, David Mancuso and Michael Brody and what's his name? Nicky Ciano, and there was other people who were doing, this was like early, in the 70s. It was hard. One, it was hard for Blacks to be able to get these clubs because they couldn't get the permits and da. So they went underground. And it's so interesting how the house name has really, really evolved. But it was like a house party, and that membership thing is involved, and it was a close knit. So I hope that answered your question. That's one of the challenges.
It did. Knowing what you know now, if you were to do that party again today, what would you do differently? Or and would that party work in today's New York City?
Okay, so I'll probably give you both. Um, so I would do it again, and I am doing it again. I've been on hiatus for a minute. Only through the grace of God, the Spirit said to me, it's time. And it's usually in a time when when there's a need, like a really need. And the chaotic and troubling times that we're in, people need spaces to release, let go, to gather together, because that whole COVID, has us to be more insular. And, but when we are in community, it's an important thing for our spirits. So, um, so Spirit said, do a cruise, together in spirit, dance cruise to Bahamas and leaving out of Brooklyn. So that's going to be on November 30th of this year, of 2025. And I'll make sure I'll send you the information on that. And then the Spirit said, now, once your heart is open, all things are going to come. And on June the 1st, I'm going to be doing a party on 29th Street in Manhattan, the borough of which now the clubs, many of them are not here. They're in, as you say, they're in Williamsburg and what are some of those areas of Brooklyn? Greenpoint, areas that we wouldn't even go to the party at all. So I'm really proud that, having it in Manhattan, June, and it's going to be an all classic party. I just really want to just spend 7 hours. It's going to be a 7-hour journey, and Will Milton is going to be the DJ. So that young man knows how to play some classics. Did you ask me more than one question?
Yeah. Would the party work today? And then knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Would the party work today? I'm gonna say absolutely positively it's timeless because we're playing, the fusion, mostly it was the fusion between the classics and the new house. Well, there's still new house and actually soulful dance house. And it's like people are yearning. I know I am yearning for places to go to, I mean, I don't go out as much as I used to, but it's good for exercise. It feeds your soul. I mean, it gets you to see folks you haven't seen in a long time. It's community. So yeah, and the music to me is timeless. When I looked at your face when I said an all classic party, you just smile. You just smile from ear to ear because it had positive messages. The messages are positive. The tone of the music, the instrumentation, it's just uplifting music. And we are going to need uplifting stuff throughout time. So I say yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How did you promote Together in Spirit? How did you get people to come to the party?
Well, one is the membership. Two is I would hire various promoters. I don't really consider myself a promoter. I consider myself a producer of events, but I will promote, but I generally would hire people to pass out. At that time, it was a lot of passing out flyers. They would go to different clubs. I would be there too, because, you got to fill in the holes while you can fill in the holes, um, uh, uh, just creating an email list, which is the membership, keeping in touch with them, letting them know this is also my flyers had calendars on them. So the month of May was so and so and so and so and so and so. I had guest DJs. I had my residents, like Will Milton, Herb Martin were my residents, like I said, from 2000 during that time frame. Um, and I would upstairs was Will played upstairs, and then the guests played downstairs. Because downstairs I had a resident, Glenn Thornton. Do you remember Glenn Thornton? And also Bird, Carolyn Bird was original resident DJ downstairs, and a lot of people didn't know that she DJ'd. But she loves music. She's been in the scene for all those years, so I had her to start off. And then at one point, uh, Will left to take on some other projects, and then her became the resident upstairs. But they both kept it down, held it down. And then it was, like I said, it was exciting to have guest DJs. I had performers that helped with bringing in people. Alternate performed, Linda Clifford, um, uh, oh my God, Sarah Dash from LaBelle. She performed when I first started, when I was doing the underground. Was it underground time or 2000? I can't remember the time. I'm not good with dates, but she performed, and we became friends. Um, uh, Dawn Tolman, she was a regular. Um, I performed. Uh, Jepte, and then he had an artist. His name escapes me. He has one artist that Jepte produced, and the brother had a single out, a track out, and I can't remember his name. His name may come up for you. But there was just so many. At one point I had live music downstairs, and it was jazz, because I wanted to give just something a little different. So it would be like a trio and a singer, and Hazy Roundtree performed, and Rick Robles. I can't remember all the names, and there were other people, but it really gave the performer a different a way to express themselves, and it didn't interrupt, which was very important. It did not interrupt the flow of the dance party. So I had some live performers upstairs, very rarely, but I was clear that that dance floor was for the dancers. So and like I said, email, doing interviews, um, uh, and it's so interesting. Other people would come, and like Ron Brown from Evidence Dance Company, uh, he used to come to the party a lot. And he called me one day and he said, "Well, you know what? I was interviewed by the New York Times, and guess what the interview was about?" I said, "What?" Because he does all these pieces with Alvin Ailey, and he said it was about Together in Spirit. I said, "Oh, get out!" So that kind of stuff was happening. So it was organically growing. To be honest with you, the spirit really led it, and the people just led it.
What was the most challenging aspect of organizing the parties?
Um, I would say, I may be repeating myself, but I would say the promotion part, you know, to keep people engaged, that they would continue to spread the word. So I had to be constantly on point to come up with all of these great ideas, you know, of each week, so it wasn't doing something every week. There's no rest time, So every week I'd go, okay, so the first week I'm gonna have Kim Lightfoot play, okay, with Will, okay, and then the next month I'm gonna do Black History Month tribute, or you know what I'm saying? So that creating a constant promotion, it wasn't, it was challenging, but then that's part of the course, you know? And so it was the promoting, and then back to the coming up with creative ways with the bar, with bar specials, and keep I had to keep enrolling and re-enrolling the owner of the club, and his brother was the bartender. Keep re-enrolling them into um, uh, remembering the vision of Together in Spirit. That it's a long-term haul. It's not a short-term party. And it worked, but it took a while for our relationship to like do this, but it finally did. To the fact that at some point the owner started hanging out at the club at Together in Spirit. That's transformation. And we became friends. And we are still to the day. We still stay in contact. His name is Robert Facey. And I really thank him, and his brother Eric Facey. But I thank them because they didn't have to trust to let us, because there were lean days, when you're still doing something every week, in the summertime, you remember the outdoor events, and, you got outdoor events and people don't want to come in, and, except for certain, close-knit folks. And those kind of challenges, or another club open up at the same time, at the same day, and and dealing with that. And just like, and just like an example of September 11th, I can't remember the day of the week that September 11th, maybe it might have been a Wednesday or Thursday that it happened. And the train, you couldn't get to Brooklyn. If you were in Manhattan, you couldn't get to Brooklyn. If you were in Brooklyn, you couldn't get to Manhattan. And in Jersey, you couldn't get into Manhattan. It was just everybody, wherever they was at, they were there. And people called me because I was like, from that Wednesday or Thursday that it happened, and like that Sunday, I was like, we're mourning, we're shocked, we're all of those things. Should I open up, And so I called, my staff, and we talked about it, and other people started calling me, other members. ConRAD, we need to release, we need to dance, we need for you to open up. And it's because of their insistence and their I'm trying to find what the word is to call. They were so inspired. Then because of their need, I had to reflect on, I'm doing this, remember, ConRAD, for people's needs. So I opened up on September 11th. Another situation was there was a blizzard. It was in February, and it was a extreme nor'easter blizzard. And Glenn Thornton, he called me, and he lived in South Jersey. And he called me, and it was in the morning time, and he said to me, he said, ConRAD, he says, I'm not going to be able to come in today. I said, oh, really? Why? What's going on? Everything is all right. He said, it's a blizzard outside. And I look outside and I don't see it. It's just nice and calm, which is calm before the storm. He said, well, it's traveling up north. It's a nor'easter. And it traveled up north. And I had a performer that day. It was Jeptay's, I wish I could remember the brother's name. It was Jeptay's performer. And I called him. I said, I don't know, because, of the blizzard, we can do this, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, I'll call you back. So I decided to do, because I said, rain or shine, come sleet or hail, Together in Spirit will be every every Sunday. We did that party. We had between 150 to 200 people in a blizzard. Unbelievable. And there was a loft party that same night. And loft party generally would end early because that party that day went to 4 in the morning. And the loft party, I think, stopped at 12, 11 to 12 or something like that. People walked in the snow because they couldn't get a cab. They couldn't drive. The only way they could do is walk or take a subway. But that was, etchy. They came and it was over 150 people. I've never been so shocked in my life ever. And that was off the meter party. It was really beautiful.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Why did the party end?
Well, I gotta think about it. So, like I said, for 9 years I was at Demerara's. Then I left because there was a disagreement between me and my staff, the manager that Robert, the owner, had. And it was can't remember the woman's name. And she was very nasty. She was not in alignment with Together in Spirit. She wanted to see something else in that club. And it was quite evident. She was not cooperative. She was very nasty, something I wasn't used to being with, working with Robert and Erica. We had already worked through, getting a good relationship. And then this monkey wrench comes in, right? I'm calling it a monkey wrench. And so I said to him, I shared with him, I said, it's not working. My customers, they're complaining. I said, basically it was like, it's either her or us. And he says, well, I said, and he called me Uncle ConRAD, right? He said, Uncle ConRAD, no, don't go. I said, you are making a decision, which, look, I ain't mad. And so we left there and went to Langston's in Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue. A friend of mine owned the club, Calvin Clark. So I called him and I said, I need your help because I didn't want to stop the momentum, the every week momentum. So he offered to be able to do the party, but it was going to be on a Friday as opposed to a Saturday. So we went there and we were there for about 8 months. And two things, it kind of was all right, but it didn't get the kind of numbers that I got in Manhattan. And so left Langston's, and there was an opportunity to go back to Manhattan. And you're gonna remember this, I think you were still here then. There was a loft at 98 Mott Street. Were you in New York at the time?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Right. So I had an opportunity to do Together in Spirit there. And that was the first Saturday of every month. And it was a huge loft. It was bigger than Demerara's, bigger than Langston's. And that immediately, the party was extremely successful. And I was like, you learn along the way. I was like, wow, location means everything. And did that for about 3 years, once a month. And then that place got closed down. And I shared with the owners, you should insulate your place. It was in Chinatown, but Chinatown was starting to shift. I noticed there was these new condos going up in this block and that block. And I was like, I could see the writing on the wall. you know, whereas with prior to that, Chinatown was very low key, you know, and the Asian people, they were so nice being in Chinatown. We were respectful of them, they were respectful of us, and they go about doing their business and stuff like that. Yeah, their daily business. So after that, I started doing periodic parties. I did a party in the mansion in Brooklyn, or off of Prospect Park. Off of the park, you could see the park for the mansion. In Is it Prospect Park? Yeah, Prospect Park, across the street. And then I started do just periodic, and then um, I just got tired. It just really, and I was caregiving for my aunt, and so I was, you know, producing the events and caregiving for an elder who, you know, was in her 90s, was very trying. So I said, let me take a break. And then she made her transition, and then I had to go through all that transitional stuff. And and then I retired as a performer. I stopped touring because of being a caregiver. And then I just got into a, a sweet, you know, like a sweet spot, just living my life, chilling, not on that grind, you know, of producing and then or touring and all that kind of stuff. And so recently, my spirit is opened up to, because I'm retired and I'm good with chilling and traveling, and it works for me, you know. Um, but I'm called to produce again.
Let's go back to the beginning. Tell us a story about the first time you went to the Paradise Garage.
Sound
What
like
did
a song.
what did you see? What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you experience? Who brought you there? Tell us
Ooh,
that story.
ooh, you asked that question. So who brought me there was my good friend who I grew up with. We've known each other since elementary school, and her name is Teresa Felton. She always does my door. We used to walk to elementary school together. That's how, you know, close we are. She said, "There's this club," and this was 1980. She says, "There's this club that is magical. It's a great place to dance, and da 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 da. I think you should come check it out. Come hang out with me." She said, "You can be my guest. I'm a member." So, excuse me, I'll get some water. So I said, "Okay, great." And went there, heard, was on the ramp, and I heard this like extraordinary music. Now, the reason why I wasn't going to a lot of the underground clubs in the 70s, I did go periodically, and the mainstream clubs. I was in college, and I couldn't mix going to college and hanging out at the clubs. There's no way, something was gonna not work. So I graduated in 1980. So 1980, I was free. So when she said, "Come to Paris," I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And I got in there and I saw all of these beautiful, beautiful people, Black, Spanish. There was some whites, not many, but it was predominantly Black and Latino and gay, and I had just come out of the closet as a gay person. And I'm telling you, brother, it literally, when I walked in there, I see why they called it paradise. Because I got to see me, like proudly me, you know, and just all sorts of people, short, tall, feminine, masculine, you know, it's just all kinds. And the music was epic. The sound system blew me off the charts. I never, I never experienced, like you could feel it in your body, and the positive music and the it paradise. I got it. You know, like there's no other word. So uh and being on that dance floor and singing, and I met so many people on the dance floor that are still friends to me today. But I met them, you know, when you're dancing by yourself, I met them just us connecting. We didn't even say, "Oh, I want to dance with you." It just like organically. And a lot of that happened. And I met so many people. So many people made their transition because it was when AIDS was starting to um, the AIDS epidemic was really at that time when I first went to the garage was happening more in the white community, white gay community. But then mid like the 83, 84, 85 is when you started seeing it in the Black and Latino, the people who were coming to the Paradise Garage. And people were just dropping off, dropping off, dropping off. I really didn't mean to share that. It's a little Debbie Downer, but it was a part of the experience, unfortunately. Um, but it just even experiencing those people making their transitions, it had the ones that were still going to be even more connected to each other. So the music was more heightened. You know what I'm saying? So the experience was even, it was so important to like, oh my God, I came this week and Oscar's there. He's still here, you know? And so the Paradise Garage, it just I was there almost every week. It was an experience. Larry Levan, the DJ, he told a story and he kept us on the journey. And he had his off day. On his off day, he was when comparing to many other DJs, he was good. But he had his off days. But when he was on point, it was good. It was really church. It was really church. So the important part of my life being a part of the Paradise Garage, a member, a core member.
Here's a question from Kai in Germany who says hi to you.
Hey, Kai.
He goes, how together in spirit is the house music scene today?
Ask that again.
How together in spirit is the house music scene today?
Well, that's an interesting question. Um, so I don't know if I would say that, but he was one of the members and
Yes.
he was there and he
Mhm,
was there on a regular basis.
mhm.
Um, and I really love his spirit. And I was so sad that he moved back to Germany. Yeah,
Yes.
because we missed him, you know. But I think it's spirit, you know, like some things we just physically don't have control over. You know, we give our input as individuals, but I'm a highly spiritual person. I'm not a highly religious person, and I don't knock those who are, but I have a special relationship to God, as many people do. And the spirit is no mistake that in the title is together in spirit, because the spirit has run. There's a song that I um, often sing when I'm facilitating a conference, the International Black Summit. And the song that we sing is called I Release and I Let Go. And it was written by Ricky Byers. Was the wife of Michael Beckwith of what's the name of their church in California? Agape. And she wrote this song called I Release and I Let Go. I let the spirit run my life. My heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. That's That's the answer to your question, to Kai's question.
I love that. Um, what is soulful house music?
um, I purposely, whenever I did any of my flyers, any publications, I purposely put soulful in there. Not just by chance, but definitely on purpose. Because to me, of this dance music, the root of it is soul. In the selections of the music that the DJs play, um, it is spirit music. It's funk, it's blues, it's gospel, it's jazz. That's all soul, house, classics, um, and there's country music. You know, I can go on and on and on. And soul is is a Black experience. It is it's a spiritual experience. Even some of the songs, you know, you hear it says, "Oh, a house is a spiritual thing." It's a whatever. I can't remember all the lyrics, but it really is a spiritual thing. So, soul music, soul food. You know, my background is my mom and my dad were born here in New York, in Harlem, and my mom's parents were from Rocky Mount, Virginia, from the South. But my dad's parents is from Barbados, and so they met in Harlem, and it was a fusion. So I became a fusion of both those cultures. But it is what's common is the Black experience. You know, we come from Africa. We've been we are the diaspora tribe. We're all over the place. We're in America, as we call us African Americans. We're in Trinidad, Barbados, you know, just like all over the place. Brazil, all over the globe. And soul is a thing sometimes it's hard to describe, you know. Um, and, you know, any form of Black music, the world reveres. Whether it's reggae, you know, Bob Marley, when Bob Marley went in, because his music was from coming from a space of spirit. Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle. I was looking at something, James Brown, brilliant, brilliant. So so we have created an art forms out of pain, out of suffering. And so the only way to get that upliftment is to take that pain and that suffering and create a phenomena, which is to me Black music. And Black music is not limited to America. You know, now you have the Afro beats and the, you know, like in the 80s, when I first got introduced to Fela, who's from Nigeria. Is Fela from Nigeria? I believe so. Nigeria. The instrumentations and the beats and the stuff like that was magical. And so in the club scene, the beginning, as I share with you in the underground club experience, the music was the foundation of the music was Black music. And then there were other things that came in to enhance, to join in with the Black music. It was the really the root of this music is the Black experience. And I am one that's very, very proud of that. And that's why I continue to promote and say soulful dance music or soulful house music, because there's a derivative. There's the techno came out of this soul music, um, and that's dance music. There's other forms of dance music, but I don't want people to forget the root, because what happens so often with Black music, kind of like it gets lost in the sauce and people start claiming it, and it's just insincere. It's out of integrity. So I say, let me use my voice to continue to speak to the root. Now, yes, things grow and things evolve. That's great. I'm with that. But I will never let anyone forget the beauty and magnificence of our music. So I'm honored to say soul music, soulful dance music, or soulful house music. It is an honor for me, and I get that as one of my charges to keep speaking to that and keep presenting that. you know it's important that I have that integrity and that I do that.
Well, thank you so much. Those are the questions I had for you. For people that want to find out about the upcoming events, the cruise and the outdoor event as well, is there an Instagram that they can log into, or what's the best way for them to check out?
I gotta get better with Instagram. I'm kind of like a creep. I really gotta get better with that. So they can reach me by Facebook,
Okay.
ConRAD Neblett, and ConRAD is ConRAD, and Neblett is NEB as in boy, LETT. So
Perfect.
Facebook, and in reference to the cruise, like I said, it's November 30th to December 7th. I haven't even done a Facebook or Instagram push yet.
Mhm.
I've been doing different Together in Spirit members. I've been sending them texts about it and all the details and stuff like that, because I really wanted to go back to that membership organic way of promoting it. So I plan
Thank you for giving us the exclusive. I appreciate it.
but I'm going to do a blast starting this week coming. And but before I've not done the blast. I already have 39 cabins booked.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
That is how so it's like an affirmation that when you ask me about is it relevant for today, that's an affirmation for me. It is, because it's taking a life of its own, and people are excited, and then they're telling other people, and oh, ConRAD is da 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 da. So that's remarkable. So it is on MSC Cruise Line. It's going to leave out of Brooklyn, going to the Bahamas, and we're gonna have dance parties, and we're gonna have like different events, games, and all that kind of stuff, and the cruise itself, November 30th to December 7th. And there will be a invite there, and you can go and click it. It will give you all information. It will have the registration situation. You click in there. You can call me. My telephone number is 212-662-2006, which is my cell number, not my land. It's my cell number. That's 212-662-2006. As well as, and I just signed last week, I just signed a contract for this June 1st party. So I'm going to be in the process of making up a flyer, and Will Milton is going to do a 7-hour classic journey at 70s and 80s. Get ready, get ready. That's all I got to say. So those are the two ways to contact me, and I'm looking forward. My heart is open again, open wider. My heart has always been open, but open wider to produce events again, and it's an honor. It ain't always easy. And yet the results, when I see people enjoying themselves, it's worth all of it. It really is. And I just wanted to say that over the years, I've had at least 20. I think I added up one day, it was about 20, 29 people who were part of my staff over the years. And there's so many, so I ain't gonna say any of them because I don't want to leave anybody out. But I love them so much, and they have been an integral part of having this Together in Spirit to be successful. And there's about 7 people who were staff and now are ancestors. So I honor their spirit and their contribution to the success of Together in Spirit. And I always honor the ancestors who were spirit guides, guiding us, helping us, supporting us. And yeah, so the journey continues.
Thank you so much. It's great to reconnect after so many years.
I appreciate it. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Thank you,
Really,
brother.
thank you.
All right. You have a good evening.
You too. Peace.
All right. Take care. Peace.
Bye-bye.